Is the comfort costing you your capacity? Or what is it costing you to stay in whatever we're staying in that we know we've outgrown?
You cannot keep growing in a life that shrinks you.
We overdo, we overcommit, we overextend, we over insert any other adjective here. And we tend to do it with the people closest to us because we don't want to disappoint them. A lot of people do it in their career. Welcome back to Unapologetic Rabble-Rousers. I'm DocShellie.
And I'm Carla Lewis. Okay, Michelle.
Carla.
I think there's some important grounding that we need to do. We've been doing some really, really fun exploration of things as this new year has unfolded, and we have so many opportunities to grab a hold of life and live it the way we want. One of the things that you and I have recently chatted about, all right, is that, and let's make this the title of this particular episode, you cannot keep growing in a life that shrinks you.
No, you cannot.
And so let's be talking together about what are the kinds of things that not only we allow, but we introduce into how we are in any given situation, in any given relationship, those kinds of constraints that actually do not provide the space that allows us to grow. It constrains us. So let's tackle this.
Where shall we start?
Well, where's a good place? How about you just start with where you are? How about
Here
we start?
I am.
Okay, right. And so if we talked about it in terms of just environment, what are the things that make that up? It's not just the air and grass and weather and all of that. We're talking about an environment that involves those things that influence your life and over which you have influence. The things where you live in your mind and your body and your spirit. If we have an environment, whether or not we constructed it ourselves, that doesn't make room for the growth that we want or that we need, it seems like becoming aware of what that's all about and the power we have to adjust it, starting with becoming aware of it, I think I'm going to invite that we start there.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to start. To your point about the environment, it's not just the air, but it's the people, it's the things, it's all the things.
Yeah, relationships, thoughts,
Yeah,
the things that you
all
prioritize.
the systems we have. Yeah, and I think when we think about when we start to evolve or we start to grow in a life because we're tired of shrinking, to your title, we have to start thinking about what does that look like? What's it going to impact? Who's it going to impact? Because we've talked about it before. We know as we start to change, it rocks the systems, and other people might get upset because they benefited from whatever life we were playing, whatever role we were playing, whatever we were doing.
Right.
And as we start to grow, because we're tired of shrinking or we want change or we just want growth, whatever the reason, it can make other people unsettled.
So let's start with, I just had a puberty moment there. My voice went up and down. Okay. But so I think the first thing is to be able to recognizing that our awareness of how we are presenting ourselves in our environment, how we are concocting an environment that either is comfortable or is safe. Maybe those are two of the same things. I don't know. But it's this awareness of that where I am is comfortable, but not what I want. Not what I want. It's not what I want. And so if my comfort begins to give way to this expansion, this growth you were just mentioning, if my comfort needs to give way to that, that means that I have to do something about the environment in which I'm growing, in the environment in which I'm existing. Let me say it that way. Okay. So it may not be facilitating growth, but
Your environment might not be facilitating
exactly.
growth.
Thank you. So,
well, yeah, of course. Like we get into habits, we get into routine, we get into the roles that we play. They just become normal, everyday things. We kind of stop thinking about it. We just keep showing up for stuff. But
yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean that that environment isn't welcoming of the change. We haven't tested it. We haven't tried it because we've become complacent.
okay.
So maybe the environment needs to change. Maybe the environment can move with you. I don't know.
Okay. So I'm sitting here thinking, this image just popped into my head that I'm in this box that's inside a bigger box.
Nobody puts Carla in a box.
Ah. Oh, that's another bumper sticker. I love it. Thank you. Nobody. But the image that popped up was, okay, you're in this space and it's comfortable and you know it and all of that, and you're inside a bigger space that one has to make a decision whether or not what that smaller space is providing is not just life sustaining, but life giving. That it provides for one to grow and to expand and to explore. And so, how do we go about becoming aware of that and doing something about it? I mean, standing up for myself and saying, no, I'm getting out of this smaller box. This is not enough to hold me back.
I think as you think about the reason for the change, like, do you need a new container? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe the container is just the right container, but you're not maximizing it.
Okay.
You're not using it to its fullest capabilities because you got comfortable. You got not you, but you know what I mean. Got complacent.
That's okay. It's always a coaching moment.
And maybe you do need a bigger box.
Maybe I do.
Like I kind of think about it like organizing my house.
Okay.
It's not organized right now. But when you think about, like, I remember I was trying to decide what to do with my hallway closet. And I was like, okay, these are the things I'm going to put in my hallway closet. I'm going to put 3 main categories of things in there. And if they don't fit, then I either need to purge those things or I need to find a different container that will hold those items. Mm-hmm. I opted to purge. The container was the right size. So I didn't have to find a new environment for something else where I wanted to put all of my shoes. Like how my shoes have come up 2 episodes in a row here. My shoes, I have a lot of shoes. My shoes do not fit in one closet. I'm not going to purge any more shoes. I joke, I need a bigger house for my shoes. I do need a bigger box for my shoes. Yep. But if you just think about it like that, are we really maximizing the environment we're in? Is it ready for us to be more, to show up differently? It might be. It might not be. But I think that's where the evaluation has to start.
Okay.
Like, where do I have to put my energy? Because if I got to go find a new container for stuff, a new environment for stuff, that's going to maybe takes a little bit more thought versus let me test out a couple things in this environment I'm currently in and see the response that I get from the people, the places, the things.
So let's dive into And I understand the shoes. I get it. And I know every once in a while your fur babies
Ugh.
sort of engage in their own version of a purge. So I get that. And it is funny that shoes have come up several episodes now. But if we go a little more inside and recognize that there are thoughts and there are habits and there are, I don't know, commitments, things that themselves need some attention as to whether or not they still belong in this space.
Yeah.
So let's work through what it means for someone to be able to want to grow, recognize maybe I have no idea what the next level is, but I know where I'm at is not where I want to be. And because I listen to unapologetic rabble-rousers, I'm aware of the fact that when I make a change, it affects more than just me. And I need to help manage that, those expectations that surround me, whatever. But I want to step forward, and in my growth, I'm going to disrupt some stuff. It may be stuff I don't even recognize I'm going to be able, or that I'm going to be disrupting, but I have to accept the fact that if everything around me is operating the way it is so smoothly because of exactly how I've been all the time, everything people can expect all the time, and I start shifting that stuff, those systems were benefiting from me being who I was, who I am. Let me say it because I haven't made the shift yet. All of that works really, really well with exactly what I'm bringing to it. And I start to mess with that disruption. You start bouncing against those boundaries that sameness has been putting in place. And it just wants to shrink you. It wants to shrink you. So how do we manage? First, the awareness, and then next is being able to push those boundaries out so that they can contain the next level.
Well, first of all, other people's discomfort is not your problem. That's their problem. It's their attachment to some version of you that was playing small, and they feel comfortable with that. So their discomfort, not your problem. That is a big thing to remember as one embarks on, I'm going to change something, I'm going to grow, I'm going to do something different. I also think you need to think about who or what in your life seems most thrown off when you stop over functioning for them.
Oh, over functioning.
Yeah.
Could we spend a moment exploring just, what, because that's powerful. And what is it? What does that really look like, feel like? How does it come across? What is over functioning?
When you think about over functioning, it's about, I don't know how to explain this. Some of it is your nervous system, but it's constantly doing more than your fair share, whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically, even relationally. Like, it's often maintaining control. Sometimes it's to avoid conflict. We overfunction, we overdo, we overcommit, we overextend, we over insert any other adjective here. And we tend to do it with the people closest to us because we don't want to disappoint them. A lot of people do it in their career because they don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to get fired. They don't want people to think less of them. There's a lot of areas in life that I think we overfunction. Solving other people's problems before they ask.
Oh, yeah.
You anticipate somebody's needs before they have even voiced them. I see a lot of people do this in their personal relationships. is, oh, no, I can't do whatever because this person's going to need X, Y, and Z. Okay. Do you know they need X, Y, and Z like right at that exact moment? So
Okay.
like people will set their own, like they want to go do something with friends or whatever, but I have to go home and cook dinner because my husband is incapable of feeding himself. Like, really? Is he incapable of feeding himself?
So you're getting back
Your
into this.
role is I am a good wife. I prepare dinner for my husband every single night, which if that is your thing, cool. But people will also use that as an excuse or a reason they're over functioning. He couldn't possibly get dinner on his own tonight. That would just be such a big inconvenience. Rather than just saying, honey, I want to go do X, Y, and Z tonight. You good for dinner on your own? You got some leftovers, whatever. Just one example. Another example of over functioning is, I think, feeling guilty when you rest.
Mhm.
Because there's all the things you should be doing. We talked about that before. Picking up someone else's slack, covering for people at work. I could go on and on. I think you get the point.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And all of those examples are probably triggering floods of others. Yeah. And how about this? Yes. So this whole overfunctioning, one of the things that I'm seeing, that there's two sides to that coin. There's the focus of it in taking care of others so that they're going to be okay. And the other side, which maybe it's the same side of the coin, is I don't want to deal with their disquiet. I would rather submit and um, avoid, or I'm sorry, I would rather submit and just do it, even if it's not what I want to do, versus deal with the consequences of doing what I want.
Or, I think, yes, depending on the person, I would say there's an or to that equation. And that is, it creates a dynamic where everyone else's needs are more important and mine stay buried.
Yeah.
I think that leads to burnout. I think it leads to resentment. And think about this, how disempowering for the person on the receiving end of that.
Yes. Think about that. What we're talking about here is this notion, this environment, much of which we are responsible and accountable for constructing, doesn't jive with one's own evolution. When just trying to, I, I want to grow. And maybe I'm not thinking about it in terms of growth. I just know that what's going on right now doesn't serve me either in the same way or ever in a way that helps me feel more alive. And so, what do we do? What are the kinds of things that we can be doing to help us challenge the environment that either we've constructed and or that we're letting ourselves just be okay being a part of? What is it? What does this look like? Being able to break out of that.
I think as you examine it and you look at what are the areas of life that feel tight, that feel constricting, that you want to expand, you've got to define that. Because we can't just willy-nilly go out there and try do random things. Like, there's got to be a purpose to it. There's got to be something behind it. But think about, where are you clinging to the comfort, the routine, the predictability? Where is that serving you? Where isn't that serving you? And realize, to your point earlier about the container or the room or the box, while change can happen in those same rooms, if those rooms are the rooms that taught you to be quiet, then you need to find a new room.
Mm.
And that room, quote unquote room, could be a career, it could be a person, it could be a system, it could be anything. And so sometimes that feeling of safety is what keeps us from changing. So we got to get comfortable getting out of the comfort zone, getting out of the proverbial cage, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we don't owe anybody the old version of us.
Mm-mm.
I don't owe anybody how I have been.
Mm-hmm.
It's really okay to step out of that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to recognize, and if I reflect back over my life, this is so true, that we often outgrow things long before we leave them.
Oh, yes.
Jobs, relationships, habits, whatever. We stay in it longer than we should. And we know we've outgrown it, but here we are. We're still hanging on.
And what is then the war cry? What is the thing that says, it's like, Stella? What is the rallying cry?
I think you have to recognize why are you staying? Is it fear, obligation, guilt? Like you're pretending that it still fits because it did. So sometimes you're holding on to what was, and maybe people are trying to still get the what was to be what is again.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we outgrow things before we leave them. But I think it's important to question yourself. Is the comfort costing you your capacity? Or what is it costing you to stay in whatever we're staying in that we know we've outgrown? I think that's a really important consideration, because even if we know we've outgrown it, we're still going to lose something in the gain of what we will get when we move along. There's still something to be lost. So it's an important conversation to have with yourself and to come to some understanding of, why am I in this job relationship? Why am I still doing the things I'm doing that don't really serve me? What's the fear? What's the obligation? Do I feel bad about something? Do I feel guilty about something?
Ask the question. Ask yourself the question.
Yeah.
And then answer it. No question should ever go without an answer.
Every question asked deserves an answer.
And with that, I'm Carla Lewis.
I'm DocShellie. We'll see you next time. Other people's discomfort is not your problem. That's their problem. It's their attachment to some version of you that was playing small, and they feel comfortable with that. So their discomfort, not your problem. That is a big thing to remember as one embarks on, I'm going to change something, I'm going to grow, I'm going to do something different.